Hey everyone, it's Friday, which means it's time to deploy. We've got Jim and Charlotte here. I know we've just started on time here, and these guys just joined the room. Welcome. I'll let you guys get set up. Take your time. That's okay. I'll run the show for now. But it's Friday, and we've had a really good week. We've been really busy here at Octopus Deploy. There's been lots of stuff happening. We were at KubeCon. There was lots of stuff happening there. If you happen to see us at the booth in Amsterdam, it was great to see you all. We've been doing a lot of writing. We've been doing a lot of publishing to YouTube. There's been lots of stuff happening. We're going to cover in this episode of Deploy on Friday, we're going to cover things like the state of cloud native development, a new report from the CNCF. We also have a report from JetBrains. Our friends over at JetBrains have a report featuring CI/CD products, etc., and a whole bunch more. But to begin with, Charlotte, Jim, you guys ready? Are you guys ready to talk about your weeks? All right, cool. Jim, how are you? How was your week?
Yeah, good. I can't remember anything about it. That's what happens at it's Friday afternoon here, right? So
yes,
we'll just start
Friday.
Just drift on out one ear.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, how are things with you?
Yeah, like Jim, it was a really busy week. I was coming off the back of leave, so I guess there's always that chaotic Monday morning where you've just got a million Slack messages, and you're just remembering all the things that you had to do before you went on leave. But it's been a good week.
That's great, but not to put you either on the spot. I do want to introduce something to you here, which is I thought we'd have some fun with this, which is Deploy Tarot. So I thought we would play this just briefly here. So this is a site. You go to deploytarot.com, and you'll see a site that looks like this. And it's basically the cards observe that it is Friday. They have not forgotten the great Friday deploy of 2021. They have not forgotten it either. The Arcana note is, it will be fine over the weekend. It's the last thing they say before an on-call rotation becomes very interesting. So what this is basically a site where you can go and pick out various cards depending upon your demeanor here, for example. So I've gone ahead and set this up already. I did a dependency update, and the CEO are my sort of cards here of choice. But you can draw again from this. So here's how it starts. So you start with your cards. I'll make sure that you get out of the way here. So Charlotte, let's do you. So what do you think here? Nature of your endeavor. What are you trying to ship today? So these are some of the patterns you can see here. We've got A/B test, AI integration, config change. Full
I actually.
Go
am
ahead.
I gonna? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. I tried this earlier, and I went on the A/B testing.
Okay.
And then the next is jobs. But my job doesn't really do any of those.
That's okay. Do you want to try IPO for fun? We should try that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's try IPO. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna draw the IPO, and then what's our role in this matter? Do you think? What do you see yourself as in this sort of deployment story? All right, Charlotte, I think you're still muted there. Let's take a guess here. Charlotte, I'm going to put you down as, let's see, DevOps engineer, data scientist. Hey, there we go. I have Jupyter notebooks and 0 prod access until today. Perfect. So let's do that one. How does that sound? All right, cool. I think you're still muted. That's okay. We'll draw those two. And then we'll draw the cards, and then we'll see what happens as a result of this. So I thought we'd start the show just with this kind of fun little thing here. So your fate is being shuffled, Charlotte. The cards know what you've done. Entropy is deliberating. The veil grows thin. So this is basically your reading around an IPO and a data scientist.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. The deck acknowledges data scientists. It would also like to acknowledge that this is that it last spoke with a CEO asking very similar matter. The cards are not judgmental. The cards observe that it is Friday. Great. So you've got 3 cards here. The foundation. The deck notes that your last commit was a 900 megabyte file called Final V3, and then here's your Jupyter notebook. Before a single line ships, the CI/CD pipeline looms over the database. You also drew the Hermit card. The cards observe that you made a production change to a Jupyter notebook, and they're not judging. And then finally, the Wheel of Fortune. This is dependency hell. This is always fun. So the cards observe that you made a production change from a Jupyter notebook. They are not judging. They are noting it for the record. So there you go. There's your future.
I love that they keep saying judgment.
All right, perfect. All right, so there you go. There's your future. So if you want to check this out, you go to Taro, deploytaro.com. We thought we this got a kick inside the Slack channels over here at Octopus earlier today. All right, Jim's back.
Like that.
Cool. All right, so let's get into the latest news. We were at KubeCon Europe, as folks may know. This is a post by Steve. This is entitled "The Best of KubeCon Europe 2026," where Steve talks about all the stuff that was happening at KubeCon. So he mentions here things like platform coffee. So these are some of the things that you can obviously highlight here. So if you're in Amsterdam, you can go to Platform Coffee, etc. There's a bunch of co-located events. Of course, all these things have already changed. This is in the future tense, but for us, it's in the past. ArgoCon definitely was there, and he gave a flash keynote at ArgoCon entitled "The State of GitOps this year." And so you can check out Steve's post there. And then KubeCon itself, we had a booth. Obviously, we have lots of photos on our socials, which you can take a look at. Cloudsmith is mentioned incidentally. So Cloudsmith sits at the end of your build process and handles artifact management. That's, your S-bombs, things like that. Anything that you have in terms of an artifact, that's typically a zip or tarball that you'll utilize. And so Cloudsmith was very, very keen on DORA, which is not DORA the Explorer, and it's not the DORA metrics. It's the Digital Operational Resilience Act of Europe, and this is something that they obviously care a great deal about, along with many others. And so this was an example, Rego example there that he provides. Talks about Argo CD and Octopus. Argo CD timeline mentioned, etc. Datadog, we are a recent partner of Datadog, and so it was great to see that Datadog is mentioned as part of this, and then a bunch of other stuff. So Steve was very keen on KubeCon. I did ask him how KubeCon was. He didn't get a chance to get back to me, but that's okay. One of the other announcements we made at KubeCon is we announced a new book. This is from Costas, entitled Argo CD the Right Way: How to Apply Best Practices and Avoid Anti-Patterns. So it's available as a paperback for $11. So there you go. And if you don't know who Costas is one of our developer advocates here. He came over from the obviously from the acquisition of CodeFresh, and does a lot of writing on Argo. And so if you haven't seen his writing, he writes these big long tomes of blog posts. So it's no surprise that he actually decided to write a book. And so you can check this out if you're so inclined. It's available up on Amazon. Of course, you can get the Kindle version as well. And he was signing copies of this at KubeCon, which is cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
In addition to that, we also had our various co-location events. We were one of the sponsors for Platform Engineering Day, along with ArgoCon. These were some of the sessions that were there. A lot of these are starting to appear now up on YouTube. So if you want to catch the recordings of those sessions, you can check them out on YouTube. I'm sure they're up on the CNCF/KubeCon channels, which are available up on YouTube, which is great. Awesome. I know that you guys missed out on KubeCon. I wanted to go. Amsterdam is a bit far for us, obviously, being down here in the world's basement, which is otherwise known as Australia. But yeah, I'm sure that there will be other opportunities for other cons. So that's great.
Yeah.
Anything that you guys picked up on your socials around KubeCon? Anything that you saw that you want to highlight?
No. I was just being happy on being there.
I know. I've never been to Amsterdam. I hear it's really nice. Lots of windmills and bicycles. So
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. It was super busy, really exciting, and some survey data today. So,
Oh, great.
people elected at the booth. So that'll be maybe later day job. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. This is a blog post from Frank entitled "Verified CD Deployments." So we introduced support, obviously, for Argo CD inside of Octopus. It's been available as an early access integration since 2025, last year. And this blog post ties into the step verification that you can do when waiting for your Argo CD applications to update. So the step verification step here is something that you can do as part of your deployment process that integrates as part of Argo CD. This can obviously be synced through a trigger as well. So triggers are our first-class citizen inside of Octopus. So you can have triggers based on artifacts being updated. You can also employ triggers via other mechanisms as well. There's a facility as well. It's sort of akin to a trigger called ARC, Automatic Release Creation. Those and other sorts of notification events, event-based sort of operations are first-class citizens, as I said, inside of Octopus. And so these are things that are articulated by Frank. as ways in which you can do deployments that synchronize with Octopus and with Argo when doing deployments to Kubernetes. So he articulates all the ways in which you can handle this and the ways in which you can actually utilize this as part of Octopus. So the step verification functionality is currently available to all customers starting with 2026.1. And if you are looking for pull request merge verification, that's if, based on a Git commit, that's going to be available in 2026.2, rolling out in cloud first. So if you want to check this out, of course, you can always go to our roadmap, which is at roadmap.octopus.com. You'll see all our features listed there. Except all the cookies first, of course. And you'll see the ones that we released along with the ones that were planned, and these ones will be listed there as well. Awesome. I always have to ask Jim, was there anything that you contributed as far as this is Argo CD deployments, anything that your team got involved with on this side?
Well, actually, we were not running anything. The team that wasn't implementing it have to sort of learn the new event-based architecture, implementing. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Anything you want to share there? Any insights or anything interesting around that?
Not really. It's really hard to create code base that works both event-based and procedurally at the same time.
Yes.
Sort of doing a little bit of maneuver at the moment. All fun and games.
It's like the little limbo trick, you have to do with eventing. Yeah. I do like eventing. I like the fact that I'm a big fan of the architecture, especially when you have queues. You can have these long-running sagas that are based around events and have tougher resilience. Is that something that you guys have been working on that side?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, funny thinking about deployments as opposed to something like a build, which is often compared, right? Because if a build stops, you could just start it again, right? If deployment stops on a Friday, then you have a really bad weekend.
That's right. Sorry, you guys can write your comments. We'll respond to those here. Sorry, iWinger, we some folks have got their mics set up incorrectly. It's probably me. I apologize. So yes, echoes. So that's part of the sort of blue collar nature we have of our podcast. We're not a high production sort of facility here. There you go. So that's cool to hear. Like you guys are thinking about those things. Obviously, it's very important when thinking about architecture of the eventing model that you guys are obviously around resilient deployments and runtime, etc. Those are things that are really, really important. So I love that sort of design, and I think it's cool that you guys are working on that. No shying away from writing, Steve. Again, another blog post entitled "Why Octopus Invests in Developer Experience." I think this one's pretty obvious. Developer experience is really, really important, especially when you consider the fact that as a part of your pipeline, when you're doing deployments, we talk about shift left and we talk about platform engineering and developer experience. They all get rolled up into these little optimizations that can make your developer life a lot better. If you think about it, if you have a lot of these things, these processes already set up and set up well, you're really can just spend your time focused on coding. You don't have to worry about the fact that you have a pipeline that's doing work for you on your behalf. If you have tests that automatically run, if you have validation as part of that process, if you're doing things like observability and tracing, you get a better developer experience overall. So it's something that we care about a great deal at Octopus. And if you care about it and you want to read a little bit more about some of the impetus that goes into that, Steve always does this at a high level, talks about it and gives a lot of good anecdotes. But you can certainly read about this on his blog post entitled "Why Octopus Invests in Developer Experience," and you see that in the product as well. Jim, maybe this isn't something that you guys care too much about, the experience side of it. You guys are more in the plumbing side, I would imagine. Is that correct? All right, that's okay. Jim was just blown away by that dialogue that I give. He decided to mute himself. So there goes. I'm going to say yes for you, Jim. There you go.
I read this one and it resonates with my research a little bit. Backdoor abilities.
Cool.
Essentially, every connects, right? It's all in this bitmap visualizer. The user and customer metrics are important to every in the system. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you want to check that out, you can check it out up on our blog, which is at octopus.com/blog. We have a couple of videos here. This one is the continuous delivery off at hours, episode 5 with Bob, Steve, and Tony talking about, I think, delivering database changes. Always a fun topic. Yes, you can do database deployments with Octopus. database changes are always a little bit gnarly, especially when you talk about schema updates. You know, there's a bunch of tools you can use for this. There's Flyway, for example, from Redgate that you can use for this. And Bob is no stranger to this. Bob has done a lot of sessions and presentations on migrating databases and utilizing Octopus in the context of a database migration. So they cover a lot of this in the latest edition of Office Hours, so it's definitely worth checking out. That's up on our YouTube channel. And this is a video that I did, which is entitled Code Review Has Become Theater. This was a bit of a meme, I guess, that came up on LinkedIn. So this was a post that was done by Gene Kim, no stranger, obviously, to the DevOps world, where he basically articulated that he had a conversation with Jez Humble. He's co-author of DevOps Handbook, Continuous Delivery, etc. He's now an SRE or SWE at, not SWE, but SRE, SRE at Google. And he made the sarcastic suggestion that code review is one of the most overloaded practices in software engineering. It's a lot of theater. And he basically said that don't worry about code reviews. This is where he says it here, sorry. Don't worry about code reviews, Gene. Code reviews and approvals have always gotten a lot of theater. We just need to perpetuate that illusion just a little bit longer and keep pretending that humans are actually reviewing all that agent-generated codes. So the point that Jez is making, and this is what I articulated in this video, is that there's a lot of code that's going to be generated by AI. So we're not talking just tens of lines here. We're talking literally thousands, tens of thousands of lines of code. Is it reasonable for developers to code review all of those PRs? I would assert it's not, and that really what you really should be focusing on more than the individual code is the actual guardrails that you put, the prerequisites, the conditions that you put in to designing and making that thing a reality. And so I basically did a video here kind of giving my 2 cents on this. I'm a strong believer that in the world of AI, code reviews are okay, but I think they're really not going to be that important going forward. And what matters more than that are your tests, your requirements, both unit and behavioral tests, etc. But this is the assertion that obviously is written by Gene here, which is like it's not reasonable for a reviewer to evaluate a 40,000 line difference change, and so definitely something worth checking out. So some comments here on the channel. Oh yes, I'm interested in deploying stored procedures by Octopus. There you go, that's cool. And then is Octopus suited for salt stack deployment? It is something that you can consider. You know, something that we can talk about in another edition, but yeah, just talking about it here. So anyways, did you guys have any opinions on this? Did you guys think, like, I don't know, Jim, if you have an opinion or a strong opinion on this, but like, do you think the world of code reviews is dead in terms of when you think about an AI context?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm working in an existing code base. We're not getting thousands of lines from our allies, right? I think sometimes the project could be doing that. But what I do agree with is the automation talked about and the safety gates and making them accessible to an agent, making that a whole automated safe process. Yeah, I think that's going to be key. What I'm doing a lot these days is actually flipping using AI to review instead. So not so much the review itself, finding the right things to review.
Yep.
Yeah.
Charlotte, what do you think about this?
It's very much in my research. It's like review was bottleneck for you kind of figured out how to imply successfully, and the answer is that you have to focus on, I guess, developing those underlying foundations first. So they're more important. And Steve said the other day that code review. Yeah, people, simply like says they're not spending much time anymore because using other ability for their. Yeah, I agree.
Well, good. Well, you don't have to. I mean, I just made the assertion that I thought it was something that has merit. But yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know if code reviews in the world of AI of multi-thousand lines of code matter, or if you're like Jim and you do a sort of a judo move and you use you reverse the care here on the side of AI to do checks and balances. Maybe that's something you can think about. So anyways, this is an interesting topic, and it's something that I did a video about. So another video I did, I just published this earlier today. It's entitled Reviewing the State of Cloud Native Development Report. This is a report that was done by /Data and by the CNCF. And it's a PDF, and it's they queried about 12,000 or so developers about cloud native development. And there's a bunch of insights that I thought were really cool in here. In the video that I did, one of the insights that I stumbled upon was this was one of them, where basically in cloud, there's an upward trend in terms of hybrid cloud adoption, and there's a downward trend in terms of public cloud adoption. So they kind of cross correlate there, which is kind of interesting. So that's good. That's good for deployment tools like us, because we support both. So you can definitely do that. Another thing that I thought was interesting was around containers, and there's a chart here. I'm trying to find it here in my video, where they saw a drop. Sorry, it's in the forward part of the video. They saw a drop of usage of containers from 60% down to 40%. And I made the assertion or claim that I think this is the reality of that containers are kind of invisible now. Like, a lot of people don't realize that they're doing container-based deployments because they're not seeing containers in their day-to-day. It's like asking, if you're using an IDP and you're just an app dev and you're deploying to Kubernetes but you don't know it, do you call yourself a user of Kubernetes, for example? I think it's the same scenario here. So I think containers are still being used, but I just think that they're being used in a way that's not obvious to people. So this is a video that I did. I put it on YouTube. Thoughts and feelings on this?
Just have a question. With that. If they may be using containers, counting themselves out. Is that what you think?
Sorry, I missed that last bit. They may be using containers, but
I guess my understanding, they might continue using containers, but they invisible. They're not sure. They just.
That's right. So down here at the bottom, they say, due to the changing nature of backend service development and its methodological capture within our survey, the large decrease in containers is reflective of a change in this developer state. Basically, they're basically saying the same. They're making the same assertion that developers aren't claiming that they're utilizing containers, even though they in reality are.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Jim, what do you think? Do you continue?
Yeah, I was wondering again why private cloud was rising. Well, I didn't know.
Jumping back here, I should do this where I get my head out of the way. I just observed. I don't know if they articulate that in the PDF. You can go and check out the PDF yourself if you want. So this is available up here. So this is like a cop out. If you want to check out the PDF yourself, you can. It's available from the CNCF now. So I don't know the reasons for that. I think it's just a trend. It might be because of data sovereignty, GDPR, things of that nature. It might be just the realities of hosting your own data. Hybrid certainly is becoming a little bit more popular these days, especially when people consider, where their data resides, various laws that are on the books, things like that. People running their own infra, their own models, things like that. So all those things, I think, come into play. So anyways, you can check out the report yourself. It's available up on the CNCF website at cncf.io, and they talked about this recently. So make sure to register and download the PDF and check it out. Cool. Looking at other links here, this is another one. This one hit internal. I shared this earlier. This is the State of Developer Ecosystem Report. This is published by JetBrains. They talked about this recently on their blog. They made some really cool observations about this. I know this is right up your alley here, Charlotte, because this is the data stuff. Just going through this, they did make some interesting observations here. Was there anything about this report that stood out to you?
I actually haven't read the report.
Oh, okay.
I went through what you kind of showed me, and so I briefly looked at the data, and yeah. So I needed to do a deep dive. They've just. I mean, they do similar questions every year, so it's very developer focused. It's very like. Yeah. What tools they use, things like that.
So jumping into that, we can take a look at some of the insights here. So top performers in a developer tool. So tools and trends is obviously my favorite part. This is very reminiscent of the Stack Overflow survey or other surveys that are out there. Yes. So TypeScript obviously getting a big rise in its index. Rust as well, no surprise there. Go, I don't know why people they don't hate on Go. I'm a huge fan of Go. I love Go. I think it should be higher if you ask me. I did a lot of Go development in my day, but there you go. And C++ still hanging around. There you go.
Yeah.
Ruby, surprisingly, down, shockingly, -21. I guess, the whole dry phenomena around Ruby and Rails and all that stuff maybe didn't stick. I don't know. So Ruby was so hot back in the day. I remember everyone was screaming about like DHH and Ruby and all this stuff that it was the greatest thing ever, and now it's just like, okay, whatever. So whatever. I mean, interesting. So in terms of primary programming languages, Python, Java, usual suspects. Python, I would suspect, is getting really popular just because of AI. What do you think, Charlotte?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's,
definitely.
It's kind of circulating, which is so useful with AI. Easy code to produce.
Top 5 languages developers want to adopt next. Go. Hey, there you go. It's like the cool kid on the block. Go. Rust. I don't think folks know what they're getting into when they think about Rust. I think Rust has a bit of that hype cycle going for it. Because they hear like how secure it is and how it's got all the performance characteristics. Honestly, folks, I'm telling you, Go, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's a really, really nice way to program. I'm a huge fan of Go. They talk a little bit about their previous results as well, so you can see the rise of Python. I think a lot of AI is attributed to that. Rust, Go, Kotlin, TypeScript. Look at TypeScript Go, eh? Like, that's just incredible. The rise of TypeScript, just eating the internet. So, and surprisingly, people still think of HTML and CSS as a programming language. There you go. I guess with shaders and stuff like that in CSS3, maybe you could think of it that way. iWinger in the comments says Terraform ? Yeah, I guess you could. State management via HCL and deployments and doing infrastructure as code, maybe. So there you go. Some other interesting insights. Most developers are building the connective tissue between systems rather than creating isolated applications. So integration is the name of the game now, and I think that speaks to what we're doing at Octopus around MCP. Around our AI integration. Certainly we did a lot of this when we built out the new CLI. We're API first, so we do a lot of this stuff ourselves. User interface, number 2. Providing APIs and services, number 3. Tied for second. Really cool stuff. And then down at the bottom, 25%. I thought this number would be higher, integration with AI. So there you go, 25%. That number is going to increase, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This functionality is code. I mean, I'm probably going to dig that.
Yes.
Because
What we build, on average, most people are building websites, angle brackets, business apps, web services, cloud services, system software. I think down here, games might be down. There we go, games, 7%. Someone's always building games. Home automation at 3%. Awesome stuff. So yeah, these and other sorts of metrics you can check out. This is all part of the developer ecosystem JetBrains report, which is at devecosystem-2025.jetbrains.com. You'll see a site that looks like this. Definitely cool to check out. I sent this around to the team earlier today, so that was interesting for us to have a chat about, which was interesting and always good for a beer conversation, I think. So anyways, there you go. So that was the week that was. For those of you joining us, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. This is a weekly show we do every Friday. Get snafus and all. We're doing it live. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to submit in the chat below. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one next Friday. I would imagine Matt will be with us again. But if you need to check out any of the links that we shared in today's show, you can check out the recording up on youtube.com/Octopus Deploy is our channel. Make sure to like and subscribe, as the kids say. But anyways, from all of us over here at Octopus to you, happy deployments, everyone. We'll see you next week. Take care.